What is up, amazing people? I hope you're having an amazing day, you fabulous people. I mean, today has been a depressing day for me. I'm a Barca fan, and it's made this. Oh my God, what is this guy doing? Oh my God. Oh no. My friend Fadin here is a Real Madrid fan, and he just texted me the scoreline for yesterday's Barca match, 8-2, once again. I mean, this guy, you're a crazy bastard. Why do you want to do that, man? I mean, we're having a podcast. You don't have to do that. Come on,
I
man.
enjoyed yesterday.
I
I
mean,
wanted Barca to get knocked out.
Real Madrid got knocked out before.
Man, if we got the 7 best team of Italy in round of 16, we would have knocked them out easily.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, that's an excuse.
We got a great team like Manchester City to take.
Of course, Messi's the best player in the world, and things can happen. It's just a normal thing, you know. Brazil conceded 7 goals. They won 5 World Cups. So why are you guys fussing about it, you know?
Whoa, guys. Whoa, what's happening here?
Oh, my God.
I'm hearing a lot of yelling. God. I don't even understand what's going on right now. I know Barcelona got embarrassed. So,
wow.
You know, I got a little slapped around. You know, got a little spanked on the bottom by Robert Lewandowski, Thomas Muller, spanking Messi.
Yeah, that's enough salt for some gaping wounds here. And so, thankfully, Jimmy interrupted. Otherwise, Fardin and I would have gone down all night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think our podcast would have been about Barcelona versus Bayern Munich.
That would have been a disaster. Fardin would have been destroyed.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, welcome back to another episode. I believe it's the 9th episode. Oh, no, 9th episode. I don't know.
9th episode.
Wait. I couldn't even be the magical 10th episode. I'm number 9? Unacceptable, boys. Unacceptable.
I mean, you're Jimmy Conrad. You'll be better at any episode, you know. Okay,
That's fair. All right. I'll take that.
Okay, so this feels pretty amazing for me because I've been watching this particular person since 2015, ever since I was in grade 4 and I'm in grade 11. And this guy, he played in the U.S. national soccer team, football team, whatever you guys want to call it. He was a defender there, scored a wonderful goal against Mexico for USA. He even played for Real Madrid. I mean, that's fantastic. Please welcome. He even has his own YouTube channel with over 142,000 subscribers. Please welcome our guest of the day and the person I'm very excited to introduce, Jimmy Conrad. Jimmy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to share this dinner convo with you guys.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, man. We are pleased as well to have you.
I'm having a really hot time having this conversation because I'm just so excited this time. And, you know, it just feels so surreal once again. Please excuse my accent. A lot of people complain that I have like a really weird, annoying
I would
accent. And
No, you're fine.
Okay, Jimmy. So talk about yesterday's Barcelona game. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know where you want to start. I don't know if you want to get into the weeds of like a soccer nerd, soccer geek kind of thing.
Yeah,
I thought the formation that Barcelona started in with under Quique Setien, who I think is going to get fired if he hasn't already, is very similar.
He has already got fired.
Yeah, that makes sense. So shades of Ernesto Valverde, very defensive, and you have so many good, really talented players on the bench. With Antoine Griezmann, who never, for me, still doesn't really fit into the system for whatever reason. You leave him on the bench, and for me, that was a sign that it was going to be a long day for Barcelona because Bayern Munich are so good, they're so balanced all over the field. Even if you try to take away Lewandowski, there's just so many other players that can hurt you, like Thomas Muller. And when this is really getting into the weeds, but if you get into a 4-4-2 against Bayern, you need one of the strikers, Messi or Suarez in this instance, to drop in and mark either Goretzka or Thiago Alcantara, because that won't allow Bayern to switch the point of attack and be able to play through the midfield. And neither one of those guys did that. So it just allowed Bayern to always really be in control of the game. And I didn't think they'd score 8 goals, but I knew they were going to win.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you should have been the coach of a manager for Barcelona instead of Quique Setien. I mean,
I don't even know if I'd want that job right now. I'll be honest. That's a poison chalice. I mean, who wants that job? It's you got all these older guys that are starting to age out, right? You got Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Piqué, Jordi Alba. They're all getting, on the wrong side of 30. Then you have your younger guys who just haven't really emerged yet, like Ansu Fati in particular. Griezmann doesn't really fit. They spent a bunch of money on Coutinho. Does Dembele really fit? Like, it's a mess. I don't even know if I'd want the Barcelona job right now.
Coutinho just showed yesterday why Barcelona spent that much money on him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I mean, I've been a Barca fan for a decade now, and since 2015, after the treble winner, I pretty much I was losing hope because Barcelona wasn't what they were a few years in 2010 under Pep Guardiola or in
Hmm.
2014-15 season. And it's great to get this fantastic insight from you, Jimmy, because we look at the score and we yell at the players, and it's rare when we like dig into the reason for the defeat. Speaking of this, you played for Real Madrid, Jimmy. Uh, did you meet Cristiano Ronaldo?
I did not. It
Oh,
was a funny event that I did where I signed with Real Madrid for one day,
cool.
and Jose Mourinho was in charge, and I got to hang out with him and Iker Casillas. But no, Cristiano Ronaldo's he's like a
Uh,
whole other level of celebrity. When the whole thing happened in New York City, so he was off doing other things. But it was a very cool experience, and it's on my Wikipedia. I think that I
yeah.
signed for one day with Real Madrid, which is
Yeah.
I
amazing.
mean, you get to tell
So it's
people
great.
you were
I
part
did.
of Real Madrid. Well, that's all that matters.
That's all that
Yeah,
matters. That's all that
yeah,
matters.
Yeah.
yeah. Talk about your uh, international footballing footballing life. You scored a fantastic goal against Mexico, not to mention.
I
And,
did.
and yeah, what was going through your mind just before that goal? When you
You
before you
know what's interesting is that the night before, because more often than not, when you have a game, you train inside the stadium the day before, and we were working on set pieces, and I just felt good. I remember visualizing I could score here for whatever reason. I just could see myself scoring in this stadium, and it stayed with me. And I thought about it that night, and I thought about it the morning of the game, and then sure enough, it happened in real life. I was like, this is crazy. So it was a bit of a shock. I think when you see my celebration, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with my hands? But it was a big thrill, and obviously I run it so nobody ever forgets it forever. But yeah, I was a bit of a late bloomer. I didn't get called into the national team until I was 27 or 28. I played in a World Cup at 29. Got to play against Italy, who ended up winning the World Cup that time around in 2006. Played against Messi in Argentina in the Copa America in
Wow.
2007. And yeah, it's been an incredible experience. And I try to kind of share it with a lot of people because I didn't get recruited out of high school, or I didn't go into youth academies. I wasn't on any youth national teams. So there's a lot of different paths to get to the top, and mine was a little bit harder than others, but I did get there.
So
fantastic.
Jimmy, how did you start playing football? Like, what was
My
your goal?
grandfather was from Denmark, so obviously football's in his blood. And so when they moved the family to California, when I was a little baby, he just maybe a little bit older than that, like 4 or 5, I'd be kicking the ball around, right? I mean, he always had a ball near me. He'd always be kicking the ball with me in the backyard. And what I thought was interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, is that his passion for the game is what I probably picked up on more than anything else. I mean, he loved it. He loved watching it. He loved talking about it. He loved going to play in the Sunday leagues. He loved it. He loved it. He just loved either the camaraderie or the community or being a part of something bigger than yourself. And I think that's what I attached myself to initially. And then when I started to play, I was just a little bit better than everybody else. And I think that gave me confidence, and that confidence continued to grow. And then you get to a point where, okay, everybody's catching up to you a little bit. So how do you now start to take those steps to be even better? And that was the big kind of fork in the road. Do I want to continue to try to push and maybe fail? Or do I want to quit and just go do something else? And I just decided I'm going to see how far I can go. And it led me to a World Cup and being a captain of the U.S. men's national team and playing against Messi and R9 Ronaldo and Zidane and Beckham, Roberto Carlos. I mean, Andrea Pirlo, my Lord and Savior, all these guys. And I think what is the most satisfying part of it all was that I felt like I held my own. Now, I wasn't dominating those guys, but I could play with them, and there's something really satisfying to say I can step on the field with these players and I'm not out of place, that I can hold my own. I can defend these guys. I can earn their respect. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from my career is that I proved that to myself, and I think I proved that to those guys too.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean,
Great.
just like now, we can tell people we didn't play with Jimmy Conrad, but we had a podcast with him.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. I mean, look, imagine like where you guys started the podcast, and now you're taking steps and you're having all these cool guests on, not just myself, but the other ones that I've seen on your guys' Instagram page. And And yeah, it's great. You guys are pushing. You're trying to make something special happen, which is awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for checking
Thank
out
you
our
so
Instagram,
much.
by the way. It means a lot. And yeah, and the fun part about today's podcast is, I was thinking about it earlier. You see people scoring goals, these fantastic goals, but you never get to talk to them about how they felt when they scored a goal. And if you got to talk to me about it, I'm going to tell my friends that I know how Jimmy Conrad felt that goal. Speaking of which, we talked about your international aspect of your career. Talk about the domestic aspect.
Yeah, so for me, when I was growing up, there was no professional league in the United States. And on top of that, there wasn't a lot of TV access, right? There wasn't all these getting to watch the Champions League on a regular basis or whatever. So I had to watch, maybe similar to a lot of your listeners, I had to watch like this Premier League review show. And it was on, like buried on, I don't know, Fox, like Fox's soccer channel or Fox like Sports 10. Like nobody can ever find it. But once a week, I could watch for an hour just the highlights of all that, and that started to really catch fire with me because you can pick up on the passion and the energy and all that stuff. And so I would watch that and I would consume it, and that's really all I got to watch. But even at that point, I was in high school. Prior to that, though, there was no professional league. There was nothing to aspire to. So the biggest soccer around me was UCLA, and this college team, usually close to being the best college team in the country. They had Brad Friedel, who ended up playing in, I think, 2 World Cups for us. Kobe Jones played in a few World Cups for us. Joe Max Moore played in a World Cup for us. I mean, all these like incredible players. And so I'd go watch them. That was the highest level I could see near me. And you have to go to games live. If you want to be a player and a professional player, you have to go and see how players move off the ball. Because what happens when you watch only on TV, the camera's only following the ball, right? That makes sense. But when you go to a game, just to see how players open up, how they create space for themselves, how they maybe move on the field to create space for others, how they then go pick up the ball, maybe not initially, but pick up that second or third ball. You have to see all that stuff because then you can start to visualize, that's how I'm supposed to move in this position. That's how I'm supposed to defend. And then you can hear players talking to each other and how they're organizing. So massively important for a young player to hear and see that stuff in person. So I had that opportunity, and then that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to go to UCLA. That was the highest thing I could go to, and I got there eventually, and we ended up winning the national championship. Let's go, which was very cool. And then by the end of my college career, MLS had started, and so then it's like, okay, there's a path here. For me, like thinking about Europe, I mean, it's so easy to say, if you're a young American and you have talent, or a young wherever you are in the country or anywhere in the world, yeah, I want to go to Europe, of course, but that wasn't an option. We never saw it. I didn't know what the Champions League was in that type of way. I didn't know the Premier League I knew of these teams, and you'd see, I saw Diego Maradona in the '86 World Cup with like a grainy television and like this like really small screen in a pizza place. That's how we consumed the World Cup back then. So everything's changed a lot. And so had I been maybe a younger player now, of course, I want to go to Europe. I want to play in the Champions League. I want to play in the Premier League. I want to play La Liga. And of course, like, why wouldn't you want to dream those types of dreams? But at that time, there was nothing because we were boxed in. We couldn't see anything. We didn't know about it. We couldn't read about it. There was no internet, That's how old I am, guys. And so you had to only dream about the things that you could see. And so now that the world has opened up, it's changed, I think, a lot for younger players to kind of aspire to different things. So it's cool when you see a Christian Pulisic playing for Chelsea, and it's cool when you see an Alphonso Davies who grew up in Canada and came from an MLS academy playing and being a very key, important figure for Bayern Munich. That's awesome. So I just kept kind of pushing to what I could see, and for me, all I could see was MLS. So I did MLS, and I had a chance once I started to get better, improve myself, and get into the national team. I had options. I had options with like Olympiacos in Greece, Hanover in the Bundesliga. I ended up going on a loan spell with Lech Poznan. For a while there, it was only me and Robert Lewandowski that had only played at Lech and played in a World Cup because Lewandowski came in about, I think, 5 years after I did. And then after the World Cup, I got interest from England, like Southampton, Sunderland, but I couldn't get my work permit because it's a little tricky for Americans sometimes to get their work permit. So yeah, I had all these opportunities, but it was really late. I was 29, 30 years old, and they're not going to spend a lot of money on an older center back. They want to go for the younger players. So my timing wasn't great on that. So I really just dedicated my thing to MLS and tried to help build the American game here, and which is what I'm still trying to do in a media way, and try to make sure that everybody understands. I don't know if you watch my Coach Jimmy's at all, but I have a series where
They're my
I
favorite.
really
They're my
just
favorite.
I try to
It's
I
great.
try to
It's great.
thank you. I just try to break down bad mistakes in top European leagues and be like, come on, this is terrible defending. But if you thought this was in MLS, you'd be like, this is the worst league ever, you know? So I try to protect MLS a little bit. I'm still aware, of course, it's not one of the top leagues in the world yet, but I think it can get there, you know, if we start to develop our infrastructure and get a little bit smarter about how we're growing.
Yeah, definitely. You guys should like bribe FIFA to increase the ratings of your players. They give you like really bad ratings. Like Jimmy Conrad got a 72. I was like, what? No, man. He definitely deserves to be a gold player at least.
I agree. We're on the same page. I work with I work with EA now, so I see all the people that develop the game, and I'm like, what's the
Whoa.
deal, man? Why was I so slow? Why was my rating so low? You know, but yeah, at that point they weren't. When I was coming through, I was in the FIFA video games for 11 years, and they just didn't invest the time into getting to really know the players. They spent a lot of their energy on the top 5 European leagues, which I get. It makes sense, but I wish I was a little bit faster.
You definitely are. I mean, definitely
Yeah.
EA stats don't really give the full description of the player.
No, I had like per murder sacker pace. Like I'm faster than per murder sacker. You know what I mean? Come on, have some respect for this guy.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
And yeah,
Jimmy, speaking of the international level, I mean, representing your own country is a big thing, and you made like 27 appearances in the US jersey. So, what was your reaction when you got the first call up in the national team?
Wow. I mean, it was a long road to get to that point. I got called in a month before my 28th birthday. So I had been patiently waiting for this opportunity for almost to the point where I had given up. Like I'm just never going to get called in, right? Because usually if you're a young player that has some talent, they're going to give you a look. They might not play you in a game, but they'll bring you into a camp and they'll kind of see how you fit in with everybody else. That usually happens at 21, 22, 23. For me, 27, 28 years old, I finally get a chance. And so when I got in there, I just knew that what's really interesting, to give you some crazy, like when you think about goal setting, right? If I was a kid and said, I want to play in a World Cup one day, that is such a, like, so far reaching. So it feels so impossible in some ways. So what I had to do to kind of keep everything somewhat tangible, and almost similar to what I'd said before about just being able to achieve what I saw in front of me, right? Not thinking about playing in Europe, just like, how can I play at my favorite college? Oh, MLS is here. How can I get into MLS and prove that? Very similar. So I kept my goals very, very manageable. So I didn't get overwhelmed. There was a guy on my Kansas City team, because that's where I was playing for Kansas City at the time. He kept getting called in over me. And we both played defense. And I was like, I'm better than this guy. I see him every day. I know what I bring to the table. I know what he brings to the table. I need to be the player that the national team thinks about when they think about Kansas City. They're thinking about him right now because they don't know me. So once I got into camp, him and I were both in camp. We both got called in. I was like, here's my chance. So anytime there was a running thing, anytime there was possession, anytime there was any type of drill, I would go over to where my Kansas City teammate is and stay in his group and then try to beat him at everything. I'd beat him at the running. I'd beat him at possession. I'd make sure I wouldn't turn the ball over. I was always the guy. And that's what kept me focused. I just wanted to be the guy they thought about when they thought about Kansas City. And I can't thank Nick Garcia, is his name, enough for kind of being that guy for me. So I didn't get overwhelmed. All I thought was, today I'm going to be better than Nick Garcia. I didn't think about, I'm going to start in a World Cup or I'm going to make the national team. I just want to be better than that guy today. And for whatever reason, that allowed me to handle the pressure and expectations and nerves. I was scared, right? You finally get called in. You don't want to blow your opportunity. And then from there, once I beat Nick Garcia, then I got called into World Cup qualifying, and then I got called into the Gold Cup, and then I was captain, for games. And it was just like, what is happening? And then a year later, I'm starting in a World Cup, playing against Italy and starting against Ghana. And it's just mind-blowing. And playing against, Messi in the Copa America the year after that, and scoring against Mexico. And it just went, I went from kind of the slow grind to like straight up. And I was ready for it though. And I think it's because I had wanted it so badly that I appreciated every single minute of it. I didn't take it for granted. I knew it was going to go by fast, and so I tried to remember and absorb all of the stuff that was happening to me. And I was so grateful for the opportunity, and I didn't want to give it up to anybody challenging me, and I didn't want to let Nick Garcia beat me. So I was running faster than I've ever run. I mean, I was pushing myself to levels I didn't think I was capable of, but that's how much it meant to me. And I think that comes across when you've got guys that are competing. If you're a coach and you can see, and maybe they're even, right? And you're judging, oh, maybe this guy or that guy. The one that it matters to them, the little things matter. You're probably going to put that player on the team. And so I tried to be that guy, and it worked out.
Fantastic. That was a great story.
Amazing, man. That's amazing to
You
hear.
did the same thing with Mertesacker and proved to EA that kind of fun. The speed wasn't that much. Okay, so
I see. That's the thing, though. I need to be in front of the EA people on a track with me and Per Mertesacker running at the same time, and then I can prove to them that I'm actually faster than Per Mertesacker. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, we have this segment on our podcast. It's called the Why Wait Show. Why Wait segment. It was named by a very one of our guests in the 4th episode. His name was Jamie. In the 5th episode, his name was Jamie Wilson. He's a part of this He's a part of this very famous YouTube channel from the UK called the Zach and Jay Show, and he named the show Why Wait. And so this basically is a rapid fire round. So we'll get 1 minute 30 seconds. I'm going to ask you one word questions. All right, and we'll see how many you can answer in 1 minute 30 seconds. And the thing is, you'll be competing with the other guests who appeared for this particular, round. And we've had the highest score
Wait,
was
tell me the high score.
the highest score was done by 2 people actually. One was in our 4th episode, a French beatboxer in Loop Station. His name was Brez. He got 17. And in our recent episode, now 8th episode, we had this YouTuber, very famous. He's very awesome from New York called Brett Conti. We had him, and he had like 17 as well. So 17 is the highest. Second highest, I believe, is 15. Yeah, 15. And
14 or 15.
yeah, 15. And
Pressure, man. Pressure.
And the third highest is like 11, I guess. Yeah. Okay, no problem.
All right.
I've got high hopes on you, Jimmy. My money's on you. Come on, make this count. Come on, it's unbelievable. I'm actually holding a counter for something. Asking something, Jimmy Conrad. And yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I'm a bit nervous. So excuse me if I get stuff messed up. And if you feel a question is too hard for you to answer within a few words, you can just skip. All right. Okay, Jimmy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, 3.
Hey.
Jimmy, who's your favorite football player?
Andrea Pirlo.
Why do you like Andrea Pirlo so much?
Because he makes the game easy for everybody around him.
What's your favorite position apart from center back?
Number 8, going box to box midfielder.
Oh, what's one team that you always wanted to manage?
Newcastle.
What's one team that you've always wanted to play for?
Newcastle.
What's so special about Newcastle that you like?
They're my favorite Premier League club, and they're terrible, and I think I could help them.
Fantastic. Who's your favorite player from the Premier League?
All time?
Just anything works.
I'll say Eric Cantona.
All right. So, what's the one thing about center back that you love the most?
Putting fires out before they start.
Fantastic. Apart from football, what's your other favorite sport?
Basketball.
Who's your favorite basketball player?
Magic Johnson.
What's your favorite food?
I would say, it's cereal.
Who's your favorite actor?
Ooh, Jim Carrey.
Win the World Cup or score a hat trick in the qualifiers?
Win a World Cup.
And last question: are you an extrovert or an introvert?
I'm an extrovert.
All right, that seems to be the end of the round. Fardin, how many did he get?
Jimmy got 14.
Oh,
no.
fantastic. You actually tied in second. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Second highest score was 14. So congratulations, Jimmy. You made it far.
Wow. 17 is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it
But
feels
it
like
still was a great effort.
but
Yeah, good question. Good questions.
oh, thank you. Yeah, and but we went second. I can now finally sleep in peace, realizing that Jimmy Conrad is like in the top three. And yeah,
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I've always wanted to meet a lot of footballers because I've been a football fan. We've all been a football fan for a long time. And in my list, Jimmy Conrad was there. I wanted to meet Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo. Those are pretty
Amazing. That's
those,
amazing.
but
Wait. So wait. I need to get to know you guys. So Fahim, you are a Barcelona supporter and you love Cristiano Ronaldo.
no, I love Messi. I'm a huge fan. When I won the first World Cup that I watched was 2010. I was in kindergarten then, and I was about kindergarten is usually longer here in Bangladesh. I was around 6 years old, and I mean one of members of my family, he was an Argentina fan, so he was like, and I was like, what's this? What's this game? It's like, this is football. I was like, do I support anything? Because I was young, I didn't know anything. And he's like, yeah, he's Messi. He's a very good player. You definitely should support him. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to support Messi. And after that, it was, every day he was doing magnificent things. And I would say more than a Barcelona supporter, I'm more of a Messi supporter. So if Messi goes to Kansas City, I'll be a Kansas City supporter.
Well, he might go to Inter Milan, so you might be an Inter supporter here pretty
no
soon.
problem. Yeah. So yeah, that's
all right. That's cool. And Fardeen, how about you?
I'm a Real Madrid fan, and in international, Germany fan.
Oh wow, those are
got
two
bottled
nice
the
choices.
last World Cup. So
Yeah.
annoyed him a lot.
I used to be the biggest plastic fan ever. Like, Italy won the World Cup at 2006, and like everyone was saying, oh, Italy was the former World Cup winner, and I was like, I'm gonna support Italy, and then Italy got knocked out, and then I saw Spain win it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna support Spain. Then in the next World Cup, Spain got knocked out, and I was like, Germany won it, and I was like, oh, let's support Germany.
I appreciate your honesty. I like that.
Fardeen's also a center back.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but he's the type of center back who wants to be Alphonso Davies. So when we're having a game, I usually drop down to midfield, and then I look back, and you don't see Fardeen. He's just marking the striker and marking the defenders in the opposite team.
That's funny.
Yeah. So Jimmy, David De Gea once played as a striker, and then he says, "Should go keeping." Do you have any stories like this? Like, did you start out in any different position, then move to center back, stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. So when I started playing, I was in the middle of midfield. I think if you can control a ball when you're young, coaches usually put you in the middle where all the action is. And, I think very similar to a lot of sports around the country, or at least here, and maybe around the world, you guys can speak to what's happening in Bangladesh. But I would say that a lot of volunteer dads coach, right? So when you're a volunteer dad and you've got a kid that can hold on to the ball and dribble people and make stuff happen, they're usually in the middle of the field. So that's where I started. I played there a lot throughout my youth career. In high school, I was doing the same thing, playing in the middle of the field. And then I started to slowly, with my club team, as I started to play a year up. So even though I was 16, I was playing with 17, 18-year-olds. And when that started to happen, that coach put me back a little bit. He could see I could read the game really well. I had good feet, pretty calm on the ball, and could organize. I'm a talker like you guys, right? So you need good talkers that are giving good information in the back line. And that's kind of where it started. And then when I got into college, university, I started to play more defense. And then as I started to see, okay, this could be a career for me, you start to watch a little bit the best players in the world and how they're doing it and what they do with the ball, without the ball. And I just started to continue to build from there.
Fantastic. That's
great to hear.
Yeah, this episode is just going so well because we've always wanted to talk to professional footballers, talking about how things are going, and Jimmy Conrad. That's all.
Yeah. So what I'll add really quick is that I thought would help me a lot as a defender is that when I played striker or if I played midfield, I knew how I was trying to break down the game. Like I knew how I was hoping defenders would play bad defense so I could expose them, whether I was taking them on 1v1 or trying to draw them in to open up space for somebody else. And once you start to understand that, it actually helps you become a better defender because now you're trying to figure out how are they breaking me down. So they've got a guy that's fast out here. They've got a big, strong guy up top. This other guy in the middle, he can hold the ball really well. How does he like to hold the ball? And as you start to like put that picture together of how they're trying to break you down, it becomes a lot easier to defend. But you have to play those other positions to understand that. So I can't encourage younger players enough to try different things, because it'll make you a better player.
Fantastic. Martin, you better note that down. Come on, you better note that down. Quality advice coming from the center back of America and the captain.
Yeah.
The captain. Yeah. And okay.
I mean, that's what I really enjoy about this podcast. I mean, we also get to know so many things.
Certainly. Jimmy, can you explain the VAR written on your background? Are you a hater?
So I got on TikTok, and I apologize to anybody that's seen my TikToks. They're all ridiculous. But we did one where VAR was talking to me, because there was a penalty that got called on, I think, Andy Robertson against Napoli in the Champions League. And it was such a bad penalty. And so I had a conversation with VAR, and we gave it like a robotic voice. And that's how it started. So I got an old monitor. I painted VAR on there. My wife was like, "What are you doing with our monitor?" I'm like, "It's my buddy. What are you talking about?" And so it fits really well. And obviously VAR, there's a lot of controversy around it. So there's a lot of jokes there for that.
Certainly. Okay, so Jimmy, this is a motivational podcast. So we talk about things which would motivate our viewers, which we always did. You've been a very motivational figure. So talk about, all the things that happened in your life which pulled you down, and how did you get back up? Talk about those things.
Yeah, I think I learned pretty early on. And if you guys want a shortcut to this answer, you can go to YouTube and type in my name, Jimmy Conrad, and draw my life. I did a draw my life.
Yeah.
That will really,
I watched it.
Yeah, will really answer a lot of these questions. But what I'll say is the best information I ever got, and what I really absorbed as a younger person, I was about 15 years old, and we had a chance to talk to the dad of a player who played in 2 World Cups for the U.S. And I had one question, like anybody, right? You guys are kind of asking the same things. If I do any interviews, or if I talk to kids in particular, the first question is like, "Oh man, how did you play in a World Cup?" Now, you guys know me, I think, well enough to know I'd give you a 30-minute answer, right? But this dad, I asked him that, my hand shot up. I was like, "How did Marcelo Balboa play in a World Cup?" And he looks at me, he goes, "He just went and worked on his game every day at the park for 2 hours." And I said, "Great. Okay, great." And then he moved on. He gave me a 30-second answer, maybe less, and moved on to the next question. But I sat there and I absorbed it. And it was at that moment that I realized that it's up to me to decide how good I'm going to be at anything. It's not up to anybody else. That's a really powerful moment to have. Now, that being said, it isn't just like snap my fingers that I'm on the national team, right? So I went to the park. I'm like, great. I got the secret, baby. I'm going to go work on my game every day. I'm going to go. So there's a school by my house that had a wall. And I'm like, I'm just going to go play it against the wall. But I get out there, and I don't know what to do. Like, okay, I'm out here. I got my ball. I'm supposed to be out here 2 hours. Let's get the clock going. This is going to make me a World Cup player. I'm going to make it happen. And I knew that I needed to work on my left foot. That I mainly just stood on my left foot. I didn't really use it. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'll practice my left foot. Listen, guys, there was nobody at the school. It was me by myself. I was so bad, I was embarrassed, and nobody was watching me. That's how bad I was. So there were a couple things that happened. One, I had to address the fact that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. That's a really powerful moment as well. But I was so embarrassed that I wasn't good, even though nobody was watching, that I went home after 10 minutes. I didn't get anywhere near close to the 2 hours that I needed to do. And I went back, like, it's easier to play video games with my friends than it is to actually go work on something and try to get better at something and fail. Everybody's trying to dodge failure all the time. So to my credit, I went back out the next day. I'm like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing out here. I don't even know what I'm supposed to work on, but I know that my left foot isn't good, so I'm just going to try to figure it out. And I started to create little games. Now, again, it took me not a long time, but my left foot was terrible, okay? Still went home after 10 or 15 minutes. I was so frustrated that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. But again, I kept going back out. And what happens is I went to practice with my team, and I started to get a little bit better. And that what changes everything, because then it shows you and it proves to you that work that you're doing when nobody's watching, that it matters. And you start to get it, not necessarily maybe addicted to it a little bit, but then you start to think in your head, man, I'm getting a little bit better and a little bit more comfortable with the ball. right? What ends up happening is, even though I was working on juggling and kind of working with my left foot, because of the repetition of playing with the ball all the time, when I got past the ball in practice and I had people coming at me and I was getting under pressure, I didn't get as nervous anymore because I was a lot more comfortable with the ball coming to me. I was a lot more comfortable with, okay, I'll take my touch from my left to my right to my left, because I was doing it on a more regular basis. So I started to realize I'm getting better. What if I put 20 minutes into going outside instead of 10? What if I doubled it? Would I be twice the player, you know? And then you're like, if I put 30 minutes in, what's going to happen here? So you start to incorporate all this. And then another added layer that nobody really talks about is, because you have this area and this space in your life where you can go work on your game, where no one's judging you, right? You're just practicing because you want to get better. You start to go get feedback from the coach, because at that point you're very thirsty for information. You go to your coach, hey, what can I do to get better? So he gives you all these things, and sure, some of them are like, oh man, my coach doesn't think I'm very good at these things, and you have to address that. But you've already kind of worked through that because you've already realized you're probably not as good as you thought you were. So you've already kind of braced for that. And you're also absorbing that information from your coach in a much more positive way. Now, imagine you didn't have that space to work on your game, and then your coach just told you, hey, you're not very good with your left foot. How would you handle that mentally? You'd be like, oh, my coach doesn't like me very much, and so I don't know if I'm ever going to play. Maybe I'll switch teams where a coach does like me, where I don't have to try so hard to be good. You know what I mean? Like it starts this negative kind of cycle. But because I had started something positive over here that was dealing with those things, when I got that information, I loved it. I loved getting information from a coach. Tell me what I'm not good at, and then I'm going to go work on it, so you can't tell me I'm not good at it anymore. But I had that space that I had created in my life. So it ultimately went from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 45 minutes to my mom having to come get me because she was worried that I was not there anymore. And I would put that much time. And then you start to realize, okay, I'm getting better here. I'm starting to get a lot better than my teammates. I probably need to find a better team to play on. That's when I started to push up and play with older kids. And then I'm like, well, what if I started running every day? Would I be fitter? Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe what if I started working with, like, I wore a weight vest? What if I wore a weight vest and started doing quick feet? You know, would I be faster and stronger? Yeah, probably. Right. So you start to add all these things, and then all of a sudden you're playing at your favorite university that you always dreamt of playing. And then all of a sudden you're playing professionally. And then all of a sudden you're in a World Cup and you're like, how did I get here? But then you know how you got there because you just put all these things in place and kept working on your game all the time. And as you add these layers, you start to climb. And that's how I got there. What I learned throughout this whole process is, and my dad gets this question, my mom gets this question, oh, how did Jimmy make it? And the answer to this, the secret is that there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. Everybody wants the secret of how to become a pro, when you really, all you have to do is put the work in. That's the secret. You have to put the work in. There are no shortcuts.
Fantastic. I mean, I really enjoy how you built on every part of the story individually. You went from, you were playing on the school playground with the wall to the World Cup. It's just, fantastic.
So I'm going to add one little piece because I think this is important.
Sure.
You have to figure out ways. You have to figure out ways to mentally motivate yourself. Of course, there were days I didn't want to go out there and kick the ball. Of course, there were days I wanted to go play with my friends or do something dumb or play video games or go swimming or whatever. But you have to figure out and create that discipline and habit. And because those disciplines and habits will follow you in everything else. So yes, I've retired and I've been retired for many years now, but all those disciplines and habits that I've created here have helped me with my media career, right? Okay, I'm going to learn how to be a YouTuber. Okay, cool. What's Instagram? All right, how do I become successful on Instagram? What do I do here to level up, right? And so you start to add all these things. Now, what I did was, I'll add a little mind trick, was that when I was out practicing and maybe I wasn't having a good day or things weren't going very well, how do you still push through that? I would start to think about when I was about 15, when this was happening, 15, 16, when I first started getting started. But one of the things that would motivate me is, and Michael Jordan, if you saw the Last Dance documentary, he did something similar where he would convince himself that the other coaches and players hate him. And that would drive him to be like this crazy monster or a basket scoring monster. For me, I would think, what is the best 15-year-old in the country doing right now? Is he practicing right now? And for how long? What do you think he's doing? And then I would think about it. I bet he's only doing 30 minutes. I'm going to do 45 minutes today. So I would try to think about different ways to challenge myself to continue to push and to continue to get better. And it followed me because I remember after the World Cup, we had this like crazy hill by where I grew up. It's 250, 300 yards straight up. And I was there. I usually don't go by myself because it's so intimidating. And you run 6 to 8 sprints up the top of this thing, and you're shattered. Like your body's shattered, your mind is shattered. It wrecks you. It's crazy. It's like you're there for 30 minutes and your whole day, you're like, where am I? You're just dizzy the whole day. And I remember being at the bottom of the hill. I was by myself, and I said, if I want to be captain of the national team, the captain of the national team in my mind would run these when nobody's watching, because it matters to the captain of the national team to do that. And sure enough, that following camp, I got one of my first times wearing the captain's armband, because that's what a national team captain does, right? They put the work in when nobody's watching. And so that's what you have to visualize. Those are the things you have to think about. If you want to be that person, you have to visualize what that person does and what they do and how they try to become a positive force for everybody around them, including themselves.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's some great advice for like future professional footballers and even us.
Yeah,
I mean,
true. I mean, we can implement them in
to hear.
normal everyday things, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
really, thank you for that fantastic advice. We're sorry for taking too much of your time because this is
No, but I see it with you guys. You probably watch podcasts. You probably consumed content that you've seen. You're like, I want to do that. And you guys are doing it. And I think I have nothing but respect for what you guys have put together. And I look forward to seeing the future of the Dinner Convo moving forward.
Thank you. The funny
Thank
thing
you
is
so
we
much.
never watched the podcast before starting the podcast. You know, like the first episode, we were like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna ask questions? What if there was a moment where like we're silent, the guest is silent, and there's awkward silence?" And by the grace of God, that hasn't happened in a single episode. You know, every episode we're talking, and there isn't a single moment where we're like, "What am I gonna pass next? What am I going to talk about next?" And it's awesome when you have guests like you know, who love to talk just like us. And yeah, and we have a few questions in mind because you know because we're diehard football fans, and in Bangladesh it's not that popular. Bangladesh has this sport called cricket. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're huge fans of cricket. So nobody really plays football in that sense. But the fun thing is, you know, in the World Cup, if you ever come to Bangladesh during the World Cup season, you'll just see two colors in Bangladesh. You know, Bangladesh, the flag of Bangladesh is like red and green, but that particular period, you'll see two colors, actually four colors, blue and white, and yellow, green and yellow. So
Yellow and green.
people and Argentina flag all around the
Amazing.
place. I mean, it just seems that this is in Bangladesh. If you come here and you see the place, it's just different. I mean, people and we love the atmosphere, and you know, it just gives this. We don't want to be professional footballers, but we love football. We love to play football, and yeah, it's just the football is an awesome part of our life. We love it, and of course, Coach Jimmy is awesome. We learn a lot from Coach Jimmy as well. And speaking of which, you know, Andrea Pirlo is one of your biggest inspirations, seen from your videos, and I mean, you already answered this in like short round, but you know, we would love to hear how you discovered Andrea Pirlo and why is he your favorite player.
Yeah, I actually discovered him from one of my teammates in Kansas City, Kerry Zavagnin, and we just talk about him a lot. Kerry was one of my roommates on the road, so when we traveled, there'd be a lot of conversations about the game, just like you guys are having on a regular basis, because we're normal people that are fans of the game too. And we talked a lot about Andrea Pirlo and how he would be the most influential player on the field, but he would never sprint. He never changed his speed. He just was always so cool and calm. He always made the right decision on the ball, and he really unlocked a lot of pressure. You know, he was a deep line playmaker, and the way he could pick out passes was it's just a really special quality. And as someone as a center back who got to play with a couple talented deep line playmakers, Claudio Reyna played in a few World Cups for us, played for Man City, amongst other clubs. John O'Brien was a kid that grew up in my area. He went to Ajax at 18 and played in the Champions League and played in a couple World Cups for us as well. I love those guys because you can play them a ball in any situation and they don't get rattled. They're always relaxed. They can hold off 3 players at once. And then not only that, they usually pick the right pass to get out of the situation. And I always marveled and appreciated those types of players. Now, as a center back in particular, because I could play them a ball if I was in trouble, and they could get out of it very coolly and smoothly. So when I got to see Pirlo and watch him a little bit more, that appreciation really took some big steps. And so I was already a fan before, and I'd switched jerseys with him in the World Cup. Mainly, the story is that player, Kerry Zavagnin, who I mentioned, there were 4 of us on Kansas City that were on the bubble to go to the World Cup team, to get named to the World Cup team. And 3 of us got named, me, Josh Wolf, Eddie Johnson. But Kerry did not. He was an alternate, and he was crushed, right? I mean, he's so close to going to his only World Cup, and he's 30, 31 at the time, and they leave him at home. So I told him, hey, you know who our group, the teams in our group are. If there's one jersey I could get for you, who would it be? And he said Andrea Pirlo. So after the game, when I got to play against Italy, I'm on the field. Alessandro Del Piero comes up to me, and he asks if we want to switch jerseys. And I waved off Del Piero. I said, no, I'm already going to switch with Pirlo. I mean, who waves off Del Piero? What an idiot, right? So Del Piero is probably like, nobody's ever told me no before, but it's fine. So I went to Andrea, and we switched jerseys, and I got the jersey, and I gave it to my teammate. So I actually don't have that jersey anymore, but Kerry does, and he has it framed, and it's up on his wall, and I know he appreciated it.
That's some class act.
Oh, thank you. But
Exactly.
But I say that because it was kind of an extension of my appreciation for Pirlo and what he brings to the table. And so when I had an opportunity as a fan now, right, when you're a player, you're still kind of caught up in your own career. You're not watching as many games as maybe in the same way. But once I retired and became somewhat of a fan, I went to the Euros in 2012 in Poland and Ukraine. I got to see Italy play twice, once against Spain and once against Croatia. And in those 2 games, he was the most important player on the field for those 180 minutes. And not once did he change I never saw him sprint, but he just controlled so much of the rhythm and pace of Italy's attacks, and everything went through him in some capacity, and his organization skills and his reading of the game. So that's where it started. And now it's become, I don't want to say it's like a meme or a bit of a joke, but now that he's coach of Juventus, that's crazy, But the guy's an incredible student of the game, and I think he's going to do well at Juve. That's essentially where it started.
Oh wow! I mean, but we really respect the fact that what you did for your friend there. That's awesome. That's a really great piece of fact. And
don't tell anybody though. That's like my secret. It's just our secret, because I have a tough guy defender image to maintain. Like I don't tell anybody I'm nice. I'm really mean and intimidating.
Yes, it's really mean and intimidating, guys. I'm pretty sure that's just between us and the listeners.
That's right.
Hopefully they make it till this far in the podcast, because most of our episodes are long because we get so into the conversations with our guests, and then we realize that our average watch time is like 2 minutes. But you guys should definitely watch this. If you've made it till this far, you're doing a great job. And so Jimmy, one last question that I have in my mind. Conradinho. How did you come up with the name?
So my nickname is Conradinho. I guess there's a part of me that always wanted to be Brazilian. But where it came up was that we had on YouTube, right? When you follow YouTubers, they have their community. I think KSI has the KSI Army. You got the Sidemen now. Like everybody has kind of their own. I think PewDiePie has his little posse or whatever it's called. And so I just felt like, okay, I'd been on YouTube for about a year. We need to have, our own name, or I need to have a nickname or something. So I threw out Conradinho, and it stuck. People think it's the funniest thing. And it helps me because it's secretly, even though I played center back, I always wanted to be a midfielder, and to be the number 10 would be even better. So I'm like, I'm going to, kind of basically steal Ronaldinho's thing and call myself Conradinho. And that's where it started. So we made a whole bunch of T-shirts. We had a partnership with Adidas at the time, and they made us a bunch of T-shirts. And it was awesome. And so that's where it started.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think Fahim might have had some problem. He just left the meeting for some reason.
He didn't want to talk to me anymore. I get it. I'm sad.
Oh, no.
I'm just kidding.
He's a huge fan of you. I mean, he was like, "Oh my God, finally we got Jimmy Conrad," and I was like, "Whoa." Anyways. So speaking of Pirlo, you were telling, I still remember that Panenka penalty from Euro 2012. That was awesome.
Yeah, the size of that guy's balls, to do a Panenka is pretty incredible.
The pressure was there, and he still got to do such an amazing thing. It was great.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of which, Jimmy, what are your future plans? I mean, what are you planning on doing after this quarantine is over?
Yeah, right now I'm doing a lot of analysis. I've been hired as an analyst to do stuff with CBS Sports here in the U.S. They have all the Champions League and Europa League coverage, so it's been a big thrill for me to actually talk about the beautiful game on a big television network. We do more of their digital stuff, but it's still a nice stepping stone for me to get into there and build some trust and rapport, and hopefully they will give me more work moving forward, especially because we're hosting the World Cup in 2026. So for me, I'm just trying to put things in place to have a really great 2026. You know, I know that's 6 years away, but I'm trying to put
I'm back.
Hey, dude.
Sorry. I had a power outage and while everything was
No,
just
you're
gone.
good. You're good.
Yeah.
No, Fardeen just asked me what the future looks like. And so yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff, just like even Coach Jimmy's, right? I'm trying different ideas that I hope will stick, and that way we can maybe build those out and maybe a brand will, you know, it'll be like AT&T presents Coach Jimmy, and that's how I ultimately get paid for all the fun stuff that I get to do. But I'm trying to put things in place now so that when we host the World Cup in 2026, that my little company and the little team I'm building will have a lot of fun stuff to do around that World Cup. And then I'm also coaching. I'm coaching a 4th division team here in Northern California, in San Francisco. And very similar to the questions you guys are asking, I'm trying to give good feedback to younger players. So hopefully they can be 10 times the player I ever was. So I'm really looking forward to giving back to the next generation.
Fantastic, Jimmy. Although I heard like 2% of it, I'm still happy that I heard some of it. And yeah, I mean, hopefully you'll be the Jamie Carragher of USA. You know, like when the World Cup comes in.
That'd be amazing. I would be okay with that. That would be cool.
Yeah. You get a friend of yours with you as well. Then you can be like the Phil Neville and Jamie Carragher duo. Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'm really sorry, Jimmy. We took a lot of your time. And,
Oh, it's all good. I enjoy talking with you guys, and I'm really excited to see what you guys continue to grow. I like helping out people, especially ones that are just starting out and trying to find their way and figuring it out. So you guys are doing great. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, after this podcast, my interest on football just became like skyrocketed. I'm like more interested. Thank you so much for coming once again.
Thank you for having me.
Just like Fardeen, I enjoyed this podcast as well. And guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, which I'm sure you will, and just I'm not boasting about our ability to make people laugh, but people entertain. But Jimmy's here, and he's very good at it.
Yeah, so what he's trying to say is hit like, hit subscribe, leave a 5-star review on all these things. Go to all your audio platforms and make sure you give the Dinner Convo all of your love and support.
Yeah, and guys, also subscribe to Jimmy Cornette's channel. It's amazing. He's got brilliant content going on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah. All my details. I'll be starting up a career mode on FIFA 21 soon, so you guys can get excited again. Yeah.
That series is awesome. I love it.
Manager Enya will be coming back. Don't worry.
That
would be great.
So thank you guys for watching once again. I hope you have a good day, whatever you are. Do something great. Do something good for the people of the community. And yeah, just have a great day.